Guys, welcome back. Let's get started. Right, as usual, I'm going to show you three versions of the market, right? And we can see as the levels go, which one kind of plays out, right? So the first one, this is the initial scenario that we've been monitoring, right? And this is still the bear case. However, there are, two bear cases. One is where, this low doesn't hold, right? We're more in an ABC correction, which means this is your 1, 2, we have a 3, 4, 5, right, to the downside in a bigger ABC, right? So this is the primary, bear version. That is if we break below 4,400, that would, kind of guarantee that we're in a zigzag lower, right? However, I am leaning more towards, as I, previously explained, we're likely in a WXY, right? This entire wave down was a W, this entire wave up was an X, and now again, we're in an Y wave downward, right? So we have an ABC, again an ABC, and then in an ABC, right? Which is kind of why I have this C wave to the upside again. This is pretty simple, right? If we break the lows of 4448, this would be invalidated, and we would have, more confirmation that we're in a 1 to 3 or 5 to the downside, right? Which means the week is likely to be bearish. However, if this low holds, right, watch for the C wave, which is again just going to drop the bears, drop the bulls before we move on to the downside. Again, we are pretty much, as you can see, we are on this yellow line, right? Make or break point for this wave 5 and a wave 3. This is the bull case, right? If the bulls want to push to 5,000, it is still possible, right? Monday open, we have a really bullish day. This can definitely be in play, right? However, if we start to break this low, then this case is invalidated, and it's definitely between one of these two scenarios, right? Every bounce is likely going to get shorted if we break the low. Anyway, so these are kind of the versions I wanted to go through before we go through this week's watch list, right? The first one I have is Affirm. Why do I have puts for Affirm, right? You guys can see that so far this trend line, right, has held every bounce, right? Not a trend line, we have a channel, right? You can see this channel, top and bottom, has held the support and resistance. And again, once again, we've got to reject the top of this channel and we've sold off, right? You can see this level at 36.5 is actually support, right? So if you do break the support, and you can see the clouds have flipped red too, right? If you do break the support, we're likely to, flush lower and probably test the next area at 31.5. So the levels that I have given are, 32, right? I just rounded off 31.5. And if that breaks, right, it can overshoot to 29. Give it 3 to 4 weeks, right? I am looking bigger picture, right? If you're more a swing trader, right, I am looking for it to retest the bottom of this channel before it has a move upwards. So this is what I have for the first play, which is Affirm, right? The next one I have is BA. As I showed you, right, we could have an ABC move to the upside, right? In which case, most stocks like Apple, BA, Disney, right? Microsoft, all of them could do the same as well. So again, I have given two versions, right? I said as long as it holds, as long as it can break over 177 and hold this bottom, right? If 172.7 holds as a bottom, right? It can definitely, you can see it's actually at the bottom of this channel as well, right? You can see this channel held the support, held this resistance. As long as this channel holds, right? I can definitely see an oversold bounce to the upside, right? That's the reason I have this in play. Again, I mentioned that if it breaks this, as I mentioned, if it does break this low as 72, let's just say 72, right? If it breaks this low at 72, it does have a gap to fill at 160. So you can just, set alerts both ways. If it breaks this low, you can play puts to 160. If it, breaks over 177, then you can, play this upside. So both ways, BA does offer a lot of opportunity. So keep your eye on that. The next one I have, on the watch list is NEO. So we did have a nice gap down, right? And you can see this green trend line, right? Just as there's an upper trend line that held its resistance, there's a lower channel as well, right? That holds a support. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, right? I'm just looking for a trend line bounce. Like in that, you can see it does have a little more room to the downside. So I'd say 16.517, right? I'm looking for it to, come to the bottom of this channel. And you can see every time we've hit it, we've had at least some kind of bounce. I am, kind of looking for that bounce. So that's the reason I have, NEO on the watch list, just kind of watch for the trend line bounce. The next one I have is Pfizer, right? So I do think that Pfizer, as long as so I'll give you both the bull bear, right? If it can break over 55.5, then it has an easy run to 58, right? That's a $3 move. That's like almost 5% on Pfizer, right? So you can play calls to the upside. If it breaks 55.5, you can play calls to the upside, right? But if it breaks below, 54.4, 54.2, then you can see I have this more in ABC, and the 0.38 to fib is actually the inverse of the golden ratio, right? So this is a very important level of rejection to monitor on Pfizer. So if you start to see a bloody Monday, then you can kind of, have the confirmation it's coming down for a C wave, or you can just wait, right? If it has a bearish engulfing, and then you can just short it then. So it's depending on how you want to play this, right? You can wait for it to break 55.5 to play calls, or break below 54 to play puts. So that's the reason I have Pfizer on the watch list, right? The next one I have is actually MGM. And the reason for that is actually, you can see that this has broken the bigger channel to the downside, right? You can see this channel held a support. We try to get back in and we broke it below the channel again. As long as we stay below this channel, right? Stay below 40. This honestly is a very slow mover, so you have to buy a lot of time, right? So if you're someone who doesn't monitor or market a lot, I think you can, get into MGM puts, right? Scale into it by 2 to 3 months of time and let it play out, because you can see it has broken the bigger channel. And that's the reason I have, puts below 38.5, targets of 35, 33, give it a lot of time, right? And a stop of 40. 40 basically implies it breaks back into the channel. So any bounce, right? Looking for a rejection that goes lower. So that's the reason I have MGM puts on here, right? The next one I have for the watch list is Snow. The reason for that is you can see this is pretty much, again, an oversold bounce. If I were to draw a trend line on Snow, right? I drew a trend line this way. You can see this orange trend line. I had a fake breakout, had a massive sell-off. Again, want to go reject the channel. Same as Affirm, right? Sold off. So I am looking something. This is a very similar play to what Affirm is, right? If any bounce is likely going to get shorted lower. So that's the reason I have Snow on the watch list, right? If it breaks this low at 203, I think it has a direct shot, sell off. So that's the reason I have Snow on the watch list. The next one I have is gold. Right. The reason for that is, even though, gold has just been consolidating after this massive move, it has not broken down, right? I think it's showing pretty decent relative strength to the market. So I think you should, put gold back on your watch list, because I think, it's time that it can make a move. And you can see if I drew a channel, right, it's broken through resistance, it's held support. So it looks like it wants to start to make a move. So that's the reason I have gold calls on there, right? As long as gold stays over 182, we can see 184, 187, right? And you can see I have 200 as a target next, which is the fifth wave and the third wave, right? So it's a very bullish move. But that's why I have gold on there. It takes a lot more time, right? But once it starts to move, it should move pretty quickly. Again, the last one I have on the watch list, Apple. As I showed you, right? The ABC move again. If we're in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then Apple breaks this. Let's say it breaks 167, then it's likely to, flush lower and then have a shallow bounce that keep getting shorted to the downside, right? As I showed you, Apple will likely follow the market, which will be something like this, right? But if it's an ABC to the downside, right? A bunch of threes, I'm looking for Apple to, hold this. So you can see the 1.618 fib is a 162.72, right? If it holds that, I am looking for that oversold bounce before it goes lower. So be prepared for both sides, right? Let the market show you its hand, break some levels. But again, that's the reason I have Apple puts on here, just to, I give it place, that target different kinds of, ways the market can move. So should be a pretty profitable one. All right, guys, thank you so much. I'll see you guys next week.